All right, here are the correct answers for directed reading A, air masses and fronts. Number one, what causes changes in the weather? That's the movement and interaction of air masses. And two, what is a large body of air that has similar temperature and moisture throughout? That's an air mass. Three, two main characteristics of air masses are moisture content and temperature. Four, the four symbols. M stands for maritime, and that means it forms over water, so it's wet. C stands for continental, which means it forms over land and it's dry. P stands for polar, and that forms over polar regions and it's cold. And then T stands for tropical, which forms over tropical regions, so it's hot or warm. 5. Name 3 places where polar air masses form and cause cold winter weather in the United States. So northern Canada, North Atlantic Ocean, North Pacific Ocean, and those would be the initials for it, CP, MP, MP. 6 is a continental tropical, and 7 is a maritime tropical air mass. 8, what usually happens when two types of air masses meet? Well, the warm air rises. That's our first rule of meteorology. It's something we've talked a lot about. Warm air rises. And 9 is a front. It's the boundary between air masses. So it's not at the front of the air masses. It's in between the cold and the warm where they meet. That boundary in between the two is what we call the front. 10, a warm air mass moves over a cold, dense air mass. That's B, warm front. 11 is C, occluded front. 12 is D, stationary front, and 13 is A, cold front. 14, cold fronts usually bring thunderstorms or heavy rain and snow, usually quick storms for a cold front. Warm front is drizzly rain and then it clears up. Occluded front means cool temperatures and large amounts of rain or snow. And stationary fronts are many days of cloudy, wet weather. Stationary front is usually just kind of drizzly for a long couple weeks. Not a lot of rain, but just drizzly. All right, 15. Area in the atmosphere that has lower pressure than the surrounding areas, with wind spiraling towards the center, is called cyclone. Because remember, wind always goes from high pressure to low pressure. So if there's a low pressure area, then all the wind comes shooting into that, and it causes it to spin. So that's a cyclone. Not exactly a tornado, not necessarily a tornado, although we use those terms sometimes as synonyms. 16, when it's a high pressure area and the air is leaving the high pressure going to low pressure, that's an anticyclone. 17, when colder, denser air spirals out of the anticyclone and moves towards an area of low pressure. So just kind of the same way that wind is formed, going from high pressure to low pressure. 18, how does a cyclone affect the weather? Causes stormy weather. If there's a low pressure area, there's usually going to be stormy weather. And anticyclones cause dry, clear weather. So if there's high pressure areas, it usually means it's going to be dry and clear. All right, those are the correct answers for the DR 2.2 on air masses and fronts.